I got stories. They're all fun stories. I always want to plan for the future, and I want to get back to Chicago wrestling.
A heck of a year for you. What's the highlight?
The PWI Magazine, the story with Bailey at TNA.
What's the goal in 2025?
I'm definitely branching out with the school, joined casting agency.
Did your release from WWE come as a surprise?
Not surprised that it happened, surprised when it did happen, yeah.
Not a lot of people get to counter the RKO.
People bring that up all the time. I thought it was really cool of him to allow me.
You were so close in that Money in the Bank match.
I showed up to Money in the Bank. They're like winning it. The entrances are happening. And Vince goes, change of plan. None of the guys in the match now.
Congrats on the wrestling school.
Thank you.
Man, it looks like the wrestling school too.
It is the place to become a professional wrestler. It says so in the trailer. It's
official. I mean, if it says it, it must be true.
Yeah, that's marketing. We just talked about this, yes.
But the photos you put out, the videos you put out, like
Thank you.
This looks incredible.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's something that's been sitting in the back of my mind for quite a while. But it's located in Niles. It's like 15 minutes from O'Hare in Chicago. And it's just the best of the best, man. I'm going to have the best trainers, AEW, WWE, TNA, they all come to town. I'm going to invite them to come hang out and train and, do seminars with the students there. So we launch in January 2025. I'm super excited. And ChicagoWrestlingCenter.com, wherever.
There it is. What was the idea to do this? Because you're already busy, right? You're a husband, you're a father of 3, you're working a ton of independent dates, and now you're going to add something else to that?
Yeah. It was definitely a lot of thought that went into it, but it's also like you always want to plan for the future, and I wanted something not that's just financially beneficial to me long term, but also like I want to get back to Chicago wrestling. Like I'm forever a Chicago wrestling guy. I still train there to this day, but I looked around, I just wasn't satisfied with what's being provided, to be honest with you. And that's not to like, shoot anybody down. I just thought like, man, like what if there was a place, performance center-esque in Chicago, like the hotbed, like, you're coming into town, come train here. You're just starting out, come train here. And I truly feel like, that like when you find that perfect gym and you have that gym community and you have that one bro that's pushing you, or like this person comes in, I want that. There's so many like talented independent wrestlers in Chicago, but I feel like if I was able just to kind of gather all of us together, and then obviously with the experience that I have and the mindset that I have for wrestling, being able to teach like TV style wrestling as well, like I don't want to say giving back, but like I feel obligated to do it in a weird sense,
This isn't just a ring in a warehouse.
No, I know that's like the format.
That's the wrestling school I went to.
Yeah. I mean, same. I was in a barn actually.
A barn.
Yeah, my first day of training, I took a bump. I look over, and there's literally a horse like taking a dump. So I was like, "Welcome
to a literal barn,
a little barn, bro." Yeah.
But you've got like all the equipment for like working out. You've got all the machines.
Everything's state of the art. It's weightlifting equipment, cardio equipment. There's a sauna in there. We're working on getting a cold plunge in there as well. And then there's side services available like meal prep, chiropractic care, rehab. So it's like I truly wanted to create like a one-stop shop, and then obviously just to make it a destination, So yeah, wish me luck. January 2025. I don't know when this is going to air, but
before that.
Okay, January 2025. But yeah, ChicagoWrestlingCenter.com. All the information's there, and then I look forward to seeing you all in the ring.
What's the advice you have to someone who says, "I want to be a pro wrestler"?
Run. The other way.
But like I can't start for maybe another year because I don't have the money. What do you say to that person between now and next year?
I mean, I think the one thing that comes like there's never a good time for anything, right? Like one of my favorite quotes is like man makes plans and God laughs. Like who are we to know like what's going to happen in a year? I know people are financially struggling, so if there's one aspect of you not financially being able to go to wrestling school, I understand that. But like I've also seen people like cut their cell phone bill and their Hulu, and they're gonna save up. They're going to this school one way or the other. They're gonna wait a couple more tables. They're gonna pick up every over. If you truly want something, like this school opens up in January 2025, like the kids that want to be there are gonna be there. They're gonna be there.
The quote I love is, "You either find a way or you find an excuse."
Yeah, and I get you can feel sorry for yourself, but the world's not. It's just gonna continue. The school's still gonna go. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait for you. But the advice I would give to people that are like planning on to going to a wrestling school is like, I don't want to just say like work out, but like it's intense. Like you have to realize someone else's life is literally in your hands when you're picking them up and you're running and this and that. So fatigue and weakness from a physical standpoint is very, very dangerous both to you and your partner. So I would say, that would be my biggest advice. And then be prepared for like the mental challenge. I don't want to say that I'm doing like old school training, but I do feel like there's a lot of schools, and like, man, I'm gonna make headlines with this probably. There's a lot of schools that'll take your money. I won't. There's an application form you have to send out. You have to fill out a waiver, and there's a big portion of it that's called like, why do you want to train here? And if I don't feel what you're saying off of that app, I won't approve the application. You know, I'm very, very blessed and fortunate to be very financially secure. This is literally me doing something because it's a passion project on the side. I still got a million dreams in front of me that I'm chasing. I'm just not sleeping in the process. But on the side, this is something like, again, I feel like I was obligated to do, and my standards are here. And one way or the other, you're gonna meet me here. Like we don't accept this.
Thought you'd come dressed in a suit today. Wasn't sure.
Everyone does it, dude. See, look at me. I look cool, right?
You got, it's almost like you've got your own name there.
It's not Muhammad Ali jacket. It's you know, I'm at not a crossroads, but like, shout out to Cody. But like this, I'm so thankful for this independent run because I really wanted to do this politician-esque character on WWE programming, and ultimately I wasn't allowed to do it. But doing it on the independents, I found that like there's a range. Like some people really like it, some people don't like it, and then there's some people that think that I'm pushing some sort of political narrative. So not that I'm shying away from it, but I'm definitely evaluating it. I'm like, hey, does this work long term? Because again, if something, this is a super random side note, but this is how sensitive this character can be. In TNA, I had a feud going on with Mike Bailey. Weeks, and I'm talking about weeks before a real life event happened, we came up with this idea where after I've been torturizing, you know, Mike Bailey for weeks, and I'm, you know, beating up his friends like that, I'm pulling up into the arena in an SUV, and I have a campaign manager with me. His name is Campaign Singh. And I'm like, man, these idiot voters, they love me. Watch this. And I put my window down, and he's like, sir, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, shut up, they love me. And we have all these fans going, yeah, yeah, and I'm shaking their hands. I'm like, these idiots. And as I'm shaking their hands, I go back to sing. I'm like, they love me. Appears Mike Bailey within this crowd. And Mike Bailey grabs me by the throat. He's trying to pull me out of the SUV, and Secret Service jumps on him. And I'm like, drive. And we drive away. Later that night, in a promo, I say Mike Bailey tried to attack me in what the public has deemed an assassination attempt. We taped this.
Yeah.
The week that's going to go live, which is a Thursday, earlier that week, the incident happens with Trump.
Yeah.
The assassination attempt. So I'm sitting and I'm watching this. Oh no. How some people had nothing to do with it, right? A genuine coincidence. So I had to text, TNA and me, like, guys, because some people are going to think we're parodying it or making fun of it. And no matter how you feel about someone, like, death is death. Like, I personally don't like wish that upon anybody. So I made the call, like, hey, I really think you should edit this clip. So we ended up editing that part out, but it just goes to show you the volatile, sensitive nature of this character. So like, that's why, a little bit more, little OG Ali over here. But I just got to evaluate it and see if it's something I want to continue doing long-term because of, an incident like that.
Well, it's divisive, right? Even if you're not saying I'm on this side or that side, people will read between the lines and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit more red or more blue.
Yeah. And the idea about it was to kind of just show what every politician is. I promise you this, Chris, I got you. I believe in you because I want you to do better.
Yeah.
And then once I'm in office, you're like, hey, remember that thing? I go, these things take time. The idea was just to bring the nuances of politics into pro wrestling, because we had this conversation off air before, but politics is pro wrestling and pro wrestling is politics. So they're all intertwined, right? Like, what's the debate? All these politicians come out to awesome theme music and they all have catchphrases and they cut promos on the other guy. So it's pro wrestling. I wanted to bring the nuance of that, this politician, Secret Service, debates, like all that stuff is fun, and I had so many ideas on how to do it in a fun way. It was never meant to be controversial, but I do think sometimes the best pro wrestling is when we put up a mirror to reality. Like, to me, this is what a politician is nowadays. A guy that will look at you and sincerely say, like, hey, I got your back. Like, if you believe in me, I believe in you. And like, there's this bond. And then when it's time to, come good on their words, they're backpedal. These things are complicated. They take time. And it's like, no, you lied to me. Oh, I didn't lie. You just didn't listen correctly. So, I think there's something there, but it's very interesting about how real life events can affect that.
Isn't it interesting the amount of respect you command when you wear a suit, though?
It is. Oh yeah. Oh, this is like I'll have this a hoodie on when I get to the arena. Nothing, but I walk out. I got a suit on. People are like, damn, who's that? yeah. It's a game changer.
There's sometimes when I would be like running late from an interview, going right to the airport. I'd be wearing a suit, like a celebrity interview. You'd walk through the airport wearing a suit, and everybody's just
they check it. Yeah,
who is this guy?
Because they're used to like the loungewear, like the people in their pajamas are just waking up.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm wearing the most comfortable clothes possible. I'm wearing the Viore Sunday Performance joggers every time I fly.
Shout out to Viore.
They are the best. Oh my gosh. But every once in a while when I'm rocking a suit, it's like, wait a second.
Yeah, who is this person?
Yes.
Yeah. You perception's reality. So, and a suit commands power. And man, I was a big custom suit guy back in the day, but I put on a little bit of size lately.
Muscle mass.
So these custom suits don't fit like they used to.
Put on some muscle mass.
It's a very heavy investment.
I'm also a big custom suit guy, and it's funny that you put on just like 3 pounds. And
it doesn't. Yeah,
this doesn't really button anymore.
And now your custom suit just looks not so custom. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, I was like, man, these things go like. So now I'm in the dilemma. Like, do I cut back down? Do I get the new suit? So
where do you feel most comfortable?
Man, like 2019, I was like 175, and I was just so agile in the ring. And I think Ospreay talked about it too when he put on some size. Like, people don't realize, man. Like I'm like 195 now. I put on like a good 20 pounds. Over the course of 2-3 years, and it gets difficult to do some of these. Like I'm sure I could probably do the reverse 450. Like everyone wants me to bring that back. One like I would jump backwards. It was nerve wracking back then. I can only imagine how much more difficult it would be.
Well, the margin for error is small.
And the thing is, like I understand. I'm very appreciative of the move because I feel like it made me stand out in 205 Live. And like, like a lot of these live events, like, oh, we need a hot match with the hot, like, oh, Ali's, like, So that was kind of like a cool thing. And I remember Pac saying this, Neville at the time, he was like, the thing is that you got to do that every night now. So I'm doing this move and the margin of error was like you said, it's very, very slim. And then one day, just for like research purposes, I guess, I just did the normal 450. Facing forward, a lot easier, a lot safer. And it kind of got the same reaction. And I was like, risking your life daily, or like I could do this with my eyes closed. So like I just kind of, no one told me. I just made the decision on my own. I just started doing it forwards. And no one really called me out on it. And I guess eventually someone had asked me. I was like, man, it's just so risky. It's just such a risky move that I don't think it's worth it. Maybe once in a while I'll bust it out, but I haven't busted it out in years.
But how do you find out you can even do a reverse 450? Because it's scary to be standing up there. And people don't realize when you're standing on the top rope, it's high.
Yeah. And the thing is, again, it's the whole like, wrestling rings aren't as nice and padded as they think they are. The cause of concern with that move is the ropes actually. And more for me, I would feel terrible if I hurt somebody, because you have to realize I'm jumping backwards. So there's a good portion of this move where I have lost my opponent. And the next time I see my opponent is when I'm landing. So either like, that's why I'll check back once and like gotta take that picture and like I hope he's still there. Again, like margin of error, it's a shin or a knee or an elbow across their throat, their face, their head, So yeah, as far as how I discovered, I have no idea. I must have figured out how to do it when I was like 16 because when you're 16 you're indestructible.
It's funny how that works.
So I'm pretty sure I just went up one day. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll try this.
It's like diving boards and trampolines.
Yeah,
right?
I was a trampoline kid too. Yeah, my dad got me a trampoline, and then I begged him to buy like these huge pieces of wood, and I put them in each corner. I took the garden hose, like an idiot. I didn't ask. I took the garden hose and I put like nails in it. And he's like, "You ruined the garden." I was like, "I want a ring so bad." So yeah, that was my little backyard ring for a good portion.
A heck of a year for you this year.
Thank you.
As we're closing out 2024, what's the highlight? Is one of them being on the cover of PWI?
Yeah, definitely. Like, so I think goals and accomplishments mean different things to different people, right? So in the industry, that's a high accolade. But to me, it's kind of a full circle moment. I used to sketch a lot, right? And like occasionally I'll take a picture and share it on socials. So years ago, I had sketched it was me as a child reading the PWI magazine. It just says wrestling magazine, and I got it. It's this kid with long hair, and he's got his backward skull cap, and there's like a little air bubble, and it says, "Why doesn't anyone look like me?" And that was me growing up. And this isn't meant to be like, oh, like it's my story. It's my reality. I was born in America. I was born in Chicago. I was a lifelong WWF fan, you know. And the thing is, like, I was like, man, like nobody looks like nobody. I've got like Bret Hart's my guy. Shawn Michaels is my guy. Like, oh, I love Randy Savage. Like, Roddy Piper. But there was no one that was my guy. Like, oh, that guy looks like me. He talks like me. You know, he's got a name like mine. So I drew this sketch thing, and because I could remember reading all the magazines and thinking, oh, no one, you know, looks like me. So to come full circle, like the cover of PWI is a guy named Mustafa Ali. And like, man, that name's got a lot of weight to it. And again, I think it's something where one of my favorite quotes I read was, just because it doesn't happen to you doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like, that's like, I'm kind of at a loss of words because it means a lot to me. It's like, I grew up where like my name defined me. Good or bad, it defined me. And that sucks. You should define you. Who you are as a person, your talents, what you bring to the table, you know, your marketability, your hard work. That's what I want to know about Chris. I really don't care where you're from. I respect it, but shouldn't be a deciding factor.
Yeah.
So to kind of like, in my ways, like, you know, jump over that barricade, you know, and have a magazine like PWI put you on the cover and, you know, like, yeah, man, it's a champion. It's a TNA exit. That's the best super junior heavyweight in the world right there. You know, like that's like, so again, it's like, you know, I go to these, you know, meet and greets and I'm meeting, and the one thing post WWE is I've gotten a lot more of this with fans. You know, I'm more accessible to them. And I can't tell you, man, one of the coolest things is seeing people like kids that look like me, that have the magazine. Oh, Mustafa, bro. We always talk about you, bro, at the mosque. We always talk about like, bro. I was like, oh, like, bro, it chokes me up, to be honest with you. It means something because I have a 7-year-old son named Rayan who's obsessed with wrestling. And like, he doesn't have to watch wrestling the way I watched it because he sees me. He sees Mansoor. You know, he sees some representation. He's like, oh yeah, like why can't I be it? My dad's it, you know? So yeah, the PWI magazine was super cool, not just on a professional level, but like on a personal level. Professional, the thing that I'm most proud of is probably the story with Bailey at TNA. It was very like handpicked and crafted. And I think the world of Speedball.
Mike Bailey.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good.
When we just say Bailey, people go, wait a second.
Yeah. And then they're talking about like Bailey, who's also awesome, by the way. That's my girl.
Bailey.
But Mike Bailey is... I'm so happy for him. I'm very, very happy for him. I find him to be incredibly talented. And when we were able to finally put this storyline together, he was just so. So me and Mike are different performers, right? Like Mike in a good way. Like it's just that's why I think the match was so good. But him and I had this big blow off for TNA Slammiversary in Montreal, and again it's perspective, right? Like I'm talking about all this stuff, and Mike and I had to, you know, talk a little bit before the show. TNA did this documentary called Immersed, and I never knew this. Mike eventually told me, but I never knew this until I watched the documentary. Mike talked about how hard it is to be a Canadian professional wrestler.
Oh yeah.
Although I've known plenty of Canadian professionals, I didn't realize the incredible amount of obstacles that you Canadians have to deal with to come work in America. And, you know, Mike was really opened up to me about like the trials and tribulations he had. And it just got me. So I'm like, man, we're going to kill it today. And he told me, he's like, you know, the people that trained me and that I'm training now are going to be in the crowd tonight, his friends and his family. I just felt like, man, I just want this perfect like present to give him. You know, I just like, I wanted it so bad. And this isn't meant to be like controversial at all, but the original match that was presented to us was completely different. There was like, it was ABC, and I was like, no, it's got to be X, Y, Z, and I was adamant about it. And I had to go like meet with the higher ups and like, guys, I know you want it this way. Respectfully, I think you're wrong. It should be this. And the reason why I'm so proud of that match, and I know some people had their, you know, Earl Hebner ended up returning that night, and he did like the reverse Montreal screw job, and he was able to redeem himself. And this is why it's so loaded to me. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of rambling, but like this match meant a lot to me because the finish happened. It was the first time in my career that I felt the floor shaking. Like it was shaking. So I go, I don't care what anyone says. I know I was right because this building is. I've never experienced that.
All right, who do you think is going to win the 2025 Royal Rumble? The odds are up now at MyBookie, and let me tell you, my friends, this is very interesting. John Cena is the favorite right now, followed by CM Punk, The Rock, Roman Reigns, and then you can see the list of names after that. For the Women's Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch is the favorite, and then you've got Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, and the rest of the group there. And yes, this is an actual thing you can place a wager on at mybookie.ag, and when you sign up using my code CVV, you'll get a 100% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And it's not just WWE, by the way. You can also bet on the NFL, NHL, NBA, UFC, really anything, because you can bet anything, anytime, from anywhere at MyBookie.
The only time I've ever experienced an arena, a sizable arena, shaking is when John Cena made his return. I felt the building shake.
Which one?
It was, I don't know what he was doing. It was like, do you remember the episode of Raw where he was walking backstage and shaking everyone's hand?
Yeah.
And then he was talking to Stu off camera.
Yeah.
And then they had us all loaded on the entranceway. So if you go back and watch that clip, John comes out, the whole roster's on the entrance ramp. He comes out, the building is shaking. I've never experienced this in my life. I'm literally. So, when John's standing at the top of the ramp, he actually looks off to the right. I'm that guy right off camera. And I'm looking at it, I just go. And he literally goes, he goes, pretty fucking cool, huh? And I go, yeah, John Cena, this is pretty fucking. And I was like, bro, that's when you realize there's levels to this, right? The building, Chris, I can't, the floor is shaking.
It's also pretty amazing that John Cena, almost like a maestro, is able to go, watch this.
Yeah. He's such a pro, man. Shout out to him. But so that happens with Bailey, and I'm so happy with that. The floor, and then to get Earl Hebner to come up, and he's super emotional about it because he's talking to me about time, which is something that I value so much. And he's like, kid, you don't know about how much time you have. The whole thing that happened in Montreal was weighing on me forever. And he's like, I don't think, I'm going to be around longer. And the fact that I got to come back and redeem myself and Montreal's cheering me. And he was just so happy. And the hug he gave wasn't like that, brother, good job. It was I know it meant something to him. And I know that night meant something to Bailey. And it meant a lot to me. So again, on a professional level, I think that was a work of art. And I'm so happy with that. And I'm so happy to work with the people I did. But those two moments, I'd say, really defined me. Cover PWI and then the Mike Bailey Slammiversary match is if you're not familiar with me, I'd be go watch that match.
When you were in WWE, they called you Mustafa Ali. When you say your name, it's very different.
I say it the right way. So I'll
say it the right way. Yeah.
I'll take the blame on that. So when I started with WWE, everyone's super nice, right? And you go introduce yourself. And I'm just that guy where it's I'm the new guy here. I don't want to rock the boat. I'm in WWE. How did I see? It's very you're taken aback. So when you're introducing yourself, I go, hey, I'm Mustafa Ali. And they go, Mustafa? Yeah, sure. You just go with it. And again, it's on me. I just didn't have the balls at the time to correct anybody about it.
You even cut promos where you said your name like that.
So eventually I was like, oh man, they're all just saying it that way. I should just say it too, because I think it's just easier for the audience to say it. I kind of and I'm not proud about it. I just kind of hey, I can say it. It's not a big deal, but it's your name. Of course it's a big deal. But at the time, again, just super unsure of myself, didn't have the confidence or really the stock, honestly, to say much. So I was saying my name incorrectly for a long time.
Yeah, your debut on SmackDown with Daniel Bryan.
I say Mustafa. Yeah. And again, just I guess in a way, again, not proud of it, but trying to make myself a little bit more marketable. Not we've seen the clips. That guy's name's too hard. I'm just gonna call him Mo. I didn't want that. And my biggest fear, which came to light, was if I correct them and my name's too hard to pronounce, they're just gonna call me Ali. Which, sure enough, when I brought up that, hey, I brought it up one time, hey, by the way, this is the correct pronunciation. So Road Dogg explained to me what actually happened was, when you do live events, these producers, they write reports. And this is during a babyface run. I think I was working with Shinsuke Nakamura or something like that. And one portion of the crowd's chanting Mustafa and the other crowd's chanting Ali. And it was a weird chant and then it just dies out. And it happened a few nights. So that got written in the report. So whoever makes decisions, I'm assuming it was Vince at the time, just call him Ali then. Just one name.
And that's how you lost your first name.
And that's how I lost my name.
How'd you find out you were losing your first name?
I think Road Dogg called me and he's like, hey, I just want to double check. Like Mustafa isn't like, it's not like a family. Like, is it something? Does it mean something to you? I go, well, the name means like the chosen one. It means like from the people. Like this is the guy that's going to represent. I'm like, so it means something to me, sure. But like, no, I don't want to lie to you and say that. I go, no. Okay, cool, man. By the way, we're just going to call you Ali now. This is what happened. This is the feedback we got. We think it's good. I don't think there's any ill intentions. They want you to win. They want you to make money. We just think it's easier. Okay, yeah, rock and roll. Yeah, and I go, oh, do I have a say in this? He goes, well, no, not really. Okay, cool. Yeah, So I understood the intentions, and again, you had to realize, growing up as a Muslim American, I was always very insecure about like my perception. So at one token, I'm just kind of like, whatever's easy for you guys. Now I'm the complete opposite. Like, hey, you can say my name or just don't say it at all. It's up to you. I'll help you. I'm not being trying to watch my language here.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but what I hate when people present like, you need to bro, like we can talk to each other. Like, even hey, by the way, bro, my name is Mustafa. It's M-U-S. And just give it a shot. Like if you don't get it, I'm not mad at it, but I owe it to myself to have my name said correctly.
It worked out well though, because when you were a heel, it became a thing where you were you've been saying my name wrong.
And dude, it's so weird because as much as people want to dunk on Retribution, I have so many, most of the promo stuff that people talk about is from Retribution. So I was on Raw Talk, and I think Charlie and R-Truth were the hosts of it. And she had said my name, like everyone said it. And I was like, say my name again. Just say it one more. And she said it. And I corrected them. And the way I put so much like enunciation in it, in such a heel, like dickish way. But to this day, like I have people of different backgrounds that come up to me and they go, yo, when you told her to say your name, bro, I felt that like, and that wasn't my intention. My intention wasn't to make some sort of like, statement. Like I was just trying to be like a dickhead heel. But I also was like, man, I'm sick of people saying my name incorrectly. I'm just going to correct them, But that translated to a whole different audience that deals with that. And this guy's like, my name is this, but when I go to work, they gave me abbreviate. They make me, I have to call myself Mo because my name Muhammad is too much. Like he's like, but I felt that, and I went back to work. I was like, no, my name is Muhammad, and I want a name tag that says Muhammad. So like it empowers. You don't know when you say something or do an act like what it's going to inspire. So it's just some random clip from Raw Talk and just looking up at someone and saying, no, say my name correctly. And it was that awkward silence, and she said it. And I made R-Truth say it. I go, yeah. When you say my name, say it with some respect. My name is Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, that was the line.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, it definitely did.
And now people know.
People know, yeah. I'm waiting. I want to walk out. So I'm like, Mustafa. I'm like, damn it, Chris.
I think it's kind of, I don't know. Is it because people know the name Mufasa? Is that why?
I think so, maybe.
From Lion King?
I never understood it because it's like there's no like Mustafa. I don't know. Isn't like M-O-O? I was like, there's no O's in there. Mustafa. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some name, some dialect that I don't know, and I'll have the same trouble. So it's all good.
When you look ahead to 2025, with everything you've already accomplished this year, what do you want to do? What's the goal in 2025?
Back to that quote that I said, God, man makes plans and God laughs. Like, who knows, man? Like, who knows if I make it home tonight? That was really grand. When I got let go, I got the phone call, right? Hey, we're letting you out of your contract. I was doing cardio downstairs, and I walk upstairs, and I look at my wife. I'm like, hey, I just got let go. And instantly, like, I go into this plan. Like, hey, don't worry, I'll figure it out. I'll make some calls, this and that. And we're having this thing. And I'm just thinking, like, woe is me. And I got to, I got to figure this out. And I shit you not, Chris, like 5 minutes goes by. And her phone rings. And she picks it up. And people don't know this. Like, months before all this happened, my wife was having, like, really bad neck pain. And we'd switch out the pillows. And I'd tell her to go get a massage. And it would just get worse and worse and worse. Like, to the point it was, like, debilitating pain. I was like, what's going on? We take her to the doctors. So her doctor calls. And, yeah, you have a broken neck. And you need surgery.
Wow.
The day I got let go, like 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, we find out that she's got my attention and all of my energy, my focus goes. So I understand like what's next? Like, man, I'm so appreciative every day. And health and the people that I'm with, when stuff like this happens, you really find out like everything that we think that matters really doesn't matter. Like this silly thing that we do where we put spandex on and baby oil, it's cool, but none of that matters right now. My wife, her neck's broken. And I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky to have like this incredible group of friends back home. You know, a lot of them are doctors and I was just able to like call. We got her in for neck surgery. My wife's healthy. She's good. It's like, everything's awesome. But I'm dealing with this broken neck, this surgery, this recovery, while I'm getting ready for this, world tour that I'm putting together. So to say that I had a lot on my plate would be an understatement. But I'm saying if I don't want to say overcame, if I was able to handle that and deliver on that and everyone's good and everything's like 2025 is going to be awesome, So it's for me to plan, I don't know, I'm definitely branching out with the school. I recently joined Great Talent Group out in Chicago. It's a film and casting agency.
Should have taken a meeting while you were here in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah. Maybe I'm doing some business after this podcast.
Maybe.
But I think just branch out and see what's there. I feel most of my life I wasted a lot of time because I was scared about like failing. I don't want to. If I fail, who cares? It'll make the news cycle, and then the next thing comes up. You know what I mean? Like I think we're so scared of like failure, what everyone's opinion is going to be on that, because now everything lives on social media forever.
Yeah.
But I know you're a big quote guy. I saw something else and I go,
love quotes.
It's out of context on this one, kind of like, but it's like no one really cares if you don't go to the party. Like I think we have put such like I'm gonna fail. Like what if I do this and it fails? Like okay, everyone makes fun of you for like a day.
And people need to realize that failure is not final.
No, yeah.
Like just because you tried something and it didn't work doesn't mean that that's the end.
Yeah.
You tried something and it didn't work, then you just find another way to figure it out.
Exactly. And then like at the end of the day, if you're able to eat something and you have a roof over your head and you have people that love you, like you're already kind of winning, considering 90% of the world is going through some sort of calamity right now. There's so much violence and loss and sadness and depression. All that stuff's going on. The fact that you and I are blessed, and I truly mean blessed, to even have the opportunity to chase something.
Yeah.
That's a win, man.
Yes.
So who cares if you didn't make it to the top? Like, I think people are like, oh, I'm afraid of this. I'm like, we're lucky already. The fact that you and I can say, like, man, I really like to do a movie someday. There's someone in the world that's like, how am I going to feed my child tonight?
Yeah.
How? How do we even?
I'm grateful every day that we just even have opportunities.
Yeah.
And with what you were saying, I think back to that, I think it was a commencement speech that Jim Carrey gave. And he was talking about how his dad did something that he didn't like for a living. And it dawned on him that like, if you can fail doing something you don't like, why not fail doing something that you love?
100%, man. It's like, and it's not the, the cliche, like, life's short, like truly like life is meant to have twists. And what a boring story if you're just like, all right, I'm going to do this. And you just make it. Isn't the cool story about the twists and turns? Like, hey, do you want to hear about this Muslim kid from Chicago that was a cop and then was working the midnight shift, but then he made it all the way to WWE. He performed at WrestleMania. He performed at Survivor Series. He had some tough times that eventually got let go, but then he was able to, pull the plane up from a nosedive and, save his career. And then he went on to do this. Like, that's that's a story, right? But if I go, I just tried this pro wrestling thing and became world champion, like 2 years into it, like kind of, I don't know, kind of boring, right? And so it's like all these twists and turns, like, man, fail with a smile. You know what I mean? Like, live. Like, I think I understand the fear, like accept the fear and then just do it anyways. Yeah.
Did your release from WWE come as a surprise?
Not surprised that it happened. Surprised when it did happen. Yeah, I think I was in NXT at the time, and I actually had a pay-per-view match scheduled that weekend with Dominic Mysterio for the North American Championship.
And rumor says you were supposed to win that match.
I don't believe anything until it happens, as you should in pro wrestling. But I don't mind sharing. Like, I think that was the plan. But mind you, the plan was actually to put the North American Championship on me months prior. But WWE is so smart with like advertising and contract negotiations. So NXT's network deal was coming up. And, Shawn is awesome. Shawn Michaels down in NXT is awesome. He explains to me, he's like, hey, we're going to put the North American Championship on you. Da, 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 da. What happens is the network deal is coming up. And this is when Judgment Day, specifically Dom, is just white hot. I mean, they're still white hot right now, but like Dom was like next level right there. So they were like, hey, everyone in Judgment Day has a championship. We want to put a championship on Dom, and we want to spike the ratings for NXT. Because the idea is if you spike the ratings when the contract negotiates out, it just helps you.
Yeah.
So this is when Seth was coming and Becky was coming. So I get a call from Sean. He's like, hey, we're actually putting the championship on Dom, and here's the reason why. And I go, yeah, that makes total, like, awesome. Do it. Like, that I didn't expect it coming. Dom's going to come and challenge Wesley and beat him. Like, great. So we do that. Then we do like a three-way match, which was super fun with Dom, me, and Wesley. And then he's like, hey, Dom's needed back on the main roster. Poor guy was working like 6 days a week or something like that. Yeah, so that I think that was a plan. Was it a surprise? No, because I saw WWE stock and WWE in general going this way, and my stock just going this way.
But don't you feel like that could change in an instant?
I mean, yeah. So this is like the controversial take. I think there's so many talented people in wrestling, not just in WWE, and AEW and TNA on the end of it. There's so many. At the end of the day, it just comes down to production. And I know someone's gonna be like, "That's." Of course, when I step up to bat, I have to perform. I have to hit the ball. But you have to be called up to bat, right? There's a lot of hitters, but most of them got to sit. And at the end of the day, there's some people in a room that know way more than I do as far as TV rights, advertisements, merchandising, that make decisions. And when they make a decision that this can's gonna get pyro, this can's gonna get the best music, and we're gonna make sure that you make that can look like it's worth $1 million because it's going to make you $1 million, right? So at the end of the day, it's just production. So yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, but I didn't feel like that was in the cards at that time. So when they got the call, it's weird because it was kind of a sense of relief in a way because, you know, I'd wanted out prior to that. And when I got let go, I asked the typical question like, okay, is this like immediate? Like, yeah, it's, you know, we no longer need it. This is your 90 days. And like I said, it was a moment of like, oh man, like I'm sad that it didn't work out, but I'm not mad at myself. It's unfortunate, but in this industry, people get let go all the time. And I had talked to friends of mine that got released prior to me, you know, a year ago or something like that. And their number one regret that they told me is like, man, I just wish that I fought a little harder. I wish I didn't sit and like wait to be called on or have an attitude like, oh, I'm not on the show, I'm leaving early. I wish I fought a little harder. And I can very confidently sit here and say, man, I don't have the... I fought. I pitched. I presented. I produced. Super duper team player. Give me anyone, everyone. I would request to be on main event. I'm not on Raw. I'm not... Can I be on main... Because a lot of people don't want to do it. I'll do it. Can I have the 2-seg match? And I would do promos for it. Me and Ricochet had a feud on main event. That got like that did huge numbers for them. Like I saw the analytics. I'm the nerd that like I was asking for like analytics and stuff like that. But yeah, I walked away knowing like, man, I gave it more than an honest try. Like I really tried it and it didn't work out. It's just how the cookie crumbled, man. So I'm forever grateful for my time at WWE. At the end of the day, look at like I have a platform because of them. People know me because of my time in WWE.
Yeah.
So that's forever. I have a house. This is a little sappy, like. I don't mind sharing it because I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of people see the cutthroat business and like, yeah, it's a cut. How do they let you go? At the end of the day, when you get hired by WWE, this is back in 2005, they offered us developmental contracts, NXT development. And one of the contingencies in this contract is you have to move, you have to relocate to Orlando. We just bought a house. My wife is pregnant with our second child. And I was like, man, like, do I really want to drag her to Orlando? We don't know anybody. And her whole family's there. I was like, hey, you know what? Like, you stay back here. I'm going to get the smallest, cheapest apartment. And I'm just going to send money home. I'm like, it'll be fine. And for some reason in my head, I go, just give me 6 months. I can somehow figure out in 6 months how to come back. And if I can't, then like, we'll figure it out. If you want me to quit, I'll quit. But just give me 6 months. She's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm pregnant, but okay, you know. So I left my wife. She stayed back at our house, but you know, a bunch of families with her. And this is like a testament to like, I understand business is business and decision made, but I'll always hold Hunter in really high regards. Cause like 5 months into my deal, I very like sheepishly go up to him. I go, hey, Paul, like, my son is due in a few weeks. My wife's gonna give birth, and like, if it's okay with you, you know, would I be able to go home for the week? Like, I know I got to report
For the birth of your son?
Yeah, dude, you got to realize I just started with the you know, I'm very like sheepishly moving around. Like, how does it work? Because you have to be in Orlando and you have to report to the PC, and these go. So I'm like, hey, is it okay with you if I could like stay at home for a week or two, and can I fly from Chicago? Like, I don't know how that works. And he like does that, and like we walk over the corner. He's like, just move back home to Chicago. I was like, well, what? And he goes, don't tell anybody. Just I'll talk to travel. Just move. He goes, there's nothing greater in your life than being a dad. Go do that. He's like, move back to Chicago. Don't say anything. And I was like, dude, like, wow. And I had this thing in my head. Hey, babe, give me 6 months. This is month 5, brother. I flew back home. I flew back to Orlando where my apartment was. Grabbed all my stuff, just threw it in my car, subleased my thing. I threw it, and I just drove straight from Orlando to Chicago. And like 2 days later, my son was born. So it just all worked, and I got to, and the big thing is like my entire majority of my 205 life, I got to go home. And a lot of these guys were like still, you know, they relocated everyone down to Orlando. So at the end of the day, like he didn't have to do that. Like I'm sure they would have like, yeah, go home for a few weeks, but then come back. I got to go, you know, I was there. You know what I mean? As much as we're on the road, so like forever indebted to him for that kind gesture, you know? So like when people bring up the cutthroat business, I'm like, yeah, but like there are these personal connections behind the business, right? So like I look at him as like he understands, he's father himself, so he understands what it meant to be. So something he didn't have to do, and he did it.
They say that first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions? That, my friends, is where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is so simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part about it is it's all done online. So that means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. So discover your options at BlueChew.com, and they've got a special deal going on for you right now. Try Blue Chew for free. You just have to pay $5 for shipping at checkout when you go to BlueChew.com. That's right. Try Blue Chew for free by going to BlueChew.com. All of the details and the safety information is up there on the website. That's BlueChew.com. And a big shout out to Blue Chew for always supporting the channel.
So if you've got a pretty good relationship with Triple H, who's now in charge, Vince was in charge when you got let go, there might be a path that leads you back to WWE.
I think there's multiple paths, yeah. And the thing is, like, there's good relations there, and the thing with them moving to Netflix is very, very interesting because it just opens up. I don't know how much the show is going to change as far as dynamic, as far as rating, as far as what they're okay with.
I think it changes a lot.
Yeah, right. It's just like because like from what I saw, like what my personal take is, they're going to have more of like music and celebrity appearances. Like, so Travis Scott's on it, right?
I think the debut is here in LA at the Intuit Dome. Anybody who's anybody
is going to be there.
Is going to be there.
I think they're going to treat it like a UFC in a sense. Like I'm
so,
not a big like MMA UFC guy. I don't follow. I watch Coco Melon at home, ladies and gentlemen. I have 3 kids.
Hey, we watch Miss Rachel.
Yeah, so you know, right? But I think, man, business is so good for them. I do think there's a pathway back there, right? There's good relations. There's good contact there. Even the release was very like nice, you know, a lot of nice messages were sent. And I think at the end of the day, it's on me, right? Like if I build something that's profitable and something that they see like, oh, this plugs in. With wrestling, it's right place, right time, right? Everything is right place, right time. It's got to be right for them. It's got to be right for me. It's got to be at the right time. It's got to be at the right time. That's how this happens. When one person's here, like if I want to go do this and it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And if they're going a direction where there's no spot for me, it doesn't fit. It's got to be right place, right time. So here's to right place, right time.
You had a lot of opportunities where I feel like you were right there. You were really close to making things happen.
Right.
What's the story behind Elimination Chamber?
Just a series of unfortunate events. That it's really, really cool because from that came a really tight relationship and friendship with Kofi Kingston. For those, I realize I should say first name.
Oh, the other Kofi?
The other Kofi. We were in a talent meeting one time where they had someone come in for something, and the guy didn't know the product very well, and he kept looking at Kofi and calling him Coffee. And it was because Kofi's such a nice guy. And he would not, speaking of names, like, and he's like, right, Kofi? And like, everyone's like, and Kofi's like, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Elimination Chamber was like, man, it all happened so fast. Come up to SmackDown, pin, wrestle Daniel Bryan, losing that effort. But I think the next week I like pinned him and I got like AJ Styles. I'm like, what is going on? You know? Get the word finally that, hey, we're moving you over to SmackDown like full time. Like you're done with 205. We're going to get you a main roster contract, all this stuff. So it's all happening a million miles per hour. I want to say the week before I got the heads up about like, hey, you're in the Elimination Chamber. Could you wrestle like 60 minutes on SmackDown? I was like, well, wait, what? Like, they go, yeah, we're going to do like a gauntlet style thing for play. And I go, yeah. I could wrestle 60 minutes. I'm like, man, I'm doing all this cardio now like that. That week, I have a match with Randy. And just kind of a slip of the boot. So Randy does like the Garvin stomp where like he goes around and he stomps each body part. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think the compliment just went to my head, like, man, Ali sells so good. Like you hit something, like it looks like he just sells so well. So I want to say Randy had either stomped me like in the stomach or something like that, something that basically made me sit up to sell. And like I've watched Randy work for years, and usually like it's like stomp and he takes his time and like stomp and then he takes his time. But for whatever reason, I guess he was feeling like to stomp me again in the stomach. So he went for like 2 stomps. But when he stomped me the first time, I sat up, and the second stomp was coming and just caught me right in the eye. And I could feel like the bones. I felt like my face moved, right? And it was like, oh, man. And in a second, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I knew where I was. I was fine. But Randy keeps saying, like, your eye's swelling up really bad. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I promise you I'm fine. It's just a black eye. We finish the match. We get back. Everyone's all, are you okay? I go, yeah, I'm fine. It's just a black eye. Later that night, the finish of SmackDown was a big melee to set up the Elimination Chamber match, right? Like, you know, Eric Rowan's with Daniel Bryan at the time, all that stuff. So the spot had called for Eric Rowan to do like the claw choke slam on the announce table. And I take it, and I remember landing on the table, and I go, oh no. Like, and the whole room is just spinning, like violently. Like I feel like I'm spinning on the table, and I go, I know I'm laying here. I go, I'm messed up, you know? So I'm like, like you probably just got your rocked, you know, just give it a second. I get back, I'm all good. That weekend I have live events. I'm sorry, this is when I get the call about, hey, can you go like 60 minutes? I'm like, oh, yeah, I can do it. And I'm driving to these live events, and I was like, man, something's not right, you know? And I wrestled the first night, and I was like, man, I'm gonna throw up. Like, I'm not myself. I'm stumbling over myself, but I'm composed enough that I'm okay. The second night, I'm in a tag team match, and I want to say my tag team partner was actually Ty Dillinger versus like Samoa Joe and Shelton Benjamin. And just things happen in the ring, right? Like I was looking this way, but Shelton wanted me to go this way, and he kind of grabs me to give me this turnbuckle move that I do where I get thrown the turnbuckle, and it looks like I knocked myself out. Except this time I like really knock myself out, right? Again, because I think I'm going here, but I get pulled this way. Get rocked again. And now I'm like, I can't stand, you know? Samoa Joe picks me up for the muscle buster. I'm able to slip out, get the quick pin, and I'm out of there. And yeah, this part sucks, man. I'm sitting in the back, Indian style on the floor, and a referee walks by. He goes, hey, you good? I go, yep. And he knows. Goes and gets the doc. Doc comes, hey, Ali, why don't you come with me? And I know what I go, no, I'm good. They go, stand up. I go, no, I'm good. And eventually I get like bullied into the medical room, and like, man, I'm grabbing everything I can. Like, yeah, just my back. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Hey, do you know where we're at? Yeah. What town are we in? I'm like, we're here. And I'm looking at the walls trying to see, like, you know, I don't know anything, right? And I'm gripping the table, and like, man, this part sucks because they're like, they wanted me basically to put my hands in front of me. And I'm sitting on the, you know, like little medical table. Yeah. And I'm holding it. They go, put your hands up. Like, you know, so I do this, and man, I just eat it. And they go, yo, this is like a massive, like you're not well. Like, so docs, they all put me up, and it's a whole protocol thing where the doc has to stay across you from the hotel room. They had to transport me back home.
This is the whole concussion protocol?
Yeah. Like, I think mine was pretty extent. Like I couldn't like stand correct. Like I'm doing this. Like it was really bad vertigo, and so like we have to get you home, you know. So WWE arranges for transportation, and yeah, that's what sucks. I'm like, okay, so like, what's the process? Like, can I make elimination? They go, dude, you're out for months probably. I was like, no, and then they asked me to film something at home. I send it in, basically announcing like I won't be in the elimination chamber. I'm like heartbroken about, but I'm gonna come back better. And then this beautiful gift of Kofimania happens, and Kofi just, God, man, what a guy. And lightning in a bottle. The entire WWE universe is behind him. He has this magical gauntlet performance. He has this amazing performance at Elimination Chamber, and like those combined is what fueled Kofimania all the way to WrestleMania. Now, no way am I comparing, but as a competitor, of course, there's some jealousy, right? I'm watching. I'm like, man, could you imagine what a healthy Ali could do in the Elimination Chamber? But then I go and look at it, I'm like, and I'm so mad at myself. I'm like, if only I, didn't take that bump at the live event. If I only had, and I'm sitting there kind of like, I would have been fine. And my wife's like, so you thought it would be a good idea to go in the Elimination Chamber concussed? Knowing you, I would have tried to scale something and like you don't. At the end of the day, I'm healthy, I'm happy, everything works, I'm good. I'm not, my brain isn't mush. WWE did the right thing. They protected me. At the end of the day, you got to protect these athletes from themselves because we have that thing. We get hit, we get up. The instinct is, I'm good.
But you look at what happened with Kofi and Kofimania and go, that could have been me.
I don't think so because Kofimania is different because I think that was a guy with a decade-long career where the fans willed it into existence. I honestly don't think that's what the original plans called for. I mean, the original plans called for me to be in the chamber. I'm guessing here. My guess would have been Bryan versus KO at Mania. That's what I think. Because then me and Bryan and Kevin Owens had like a fast lane triple threat match in between that when I like returned, So that's what I think the plan was. I think Kofi, the reason it happened is because the WWE fan base was like, this guy has been here for so long, has always delivered. And it was like, I think it was lightning. It wasn't produced. It wasn't written.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, you can't. So for me to even sit here and have the gall of saying like, yeah, that could, no, man, that was Kofimania's special. And like what it meant, all those videos, you've seen the videos with Chad and MVP when Kofi wins in, they're like having a drink at the bar. There's this thing on a cultural level too that it meant. And like at the end of the day, Kofimania is like, man, that's like, there's no topping that, you know what I mean?
And just on a broader scale, it's great when good things happen to good people.
Good things happen to good people. And like, man, and like I can't tell you like the amount of texts that he would send me and like checking in on me and like he knew, he's like, man, this sucks for you. He's like, I'm so sad for you because he felt like I deserved it. I was like, bro, you've been here forever and like you absolutely deserve this, But yes, good things happen to good people, and I'm just glad that like I get to look on that fondly rather than like. It would have been different if the guy that replaced me was a complete POS and like didn't deserve it. I'm like, oh man, this guy, it's someone I have no problem saying someone I think more deserving took that spot.
When you talk about working with Randy Orton, not a lot of people get to counter the RKO.
Brother, I got a story for you. I got stories, guys. All fun stories. Let me take a little. What's F3 by the way? Let me get some.
I haven't even cracked mine open. Here we go.
Oh, that's delicious. So Randy, obviously, the GOAT, right? And taught me a lot. I'm forever indebted for our conversation. Randy's a late night texter, by the way. He'll text you back at 3 o'clock in the morning because he's up on his bus, just like,
jeez.
Yeah, I mean, because like when we get done with Raw and stuff, like you're just wired and you're up, and he's got someone taking care of him, so he's playing video games or whatever. So he'll get back to it at 3 a.m. But so much knowledge in just the short amount of time that I got to share with him in the ring. We're working a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view match at the event, not the match itself. We're at the pay-per-view. What do they call it now? PLEs. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm trying to stay hip to the lingo here. It's a cold match. There's no current storyline, but we just rely back. Like, well, earlier this year, you concussed me and I missed. Like, so that was the story. And Randy and I are talking about this match, and I was like, hey, I know how to counter the RKO. And again, you're just trying to be respectful. He's like, what do you mean? Like, what's the counter? And I was like, oh, I would do this. And I can see him thinking, and he's like, I'm more concerned for you, like he's talking to me, because if you botch that handstand, you're just gonna look like you botched the move. and they're gonna boo you because they love the RKO. So he's like, you have to hit this. And I almost feel like the extra pressure of him saying that made it worse. Because I'm like, yeah, I can do that all day. But I go, he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, if you mess that up, you're going to look really bad to the office, to the fans. Thinking like, this guy can't even take an arc. It's like, you're taking away something like, but he's like, if you nail it, like, man, he's like, you think you can do that? I'm like, absolutely, I can do this 100%. So we get to the match. I know Randy Orton's jacked right now, right? Like, you know, but still back then he was still jacked, right? So when Randy jumps up, you got to realize, like, I was like 175, 180 at the time. So when Randy jumps up and he grabs me, I was like, man, this is a massive dude. And I had all these calculations in my head. I'm like, wait, he's about to land on the mat. When he lands on the mat, he takes a bump. The ring moves a little bit more different than a 205 live match, right? And I was like, oh, I have to handstand while this 280-pound guy is bumping at the same time. And if my elbows, like, you know, go in, I'm going to mess up the move like he said I was going to. And this is all playing in my head. I was like, dude, like, I'm going to mess this up. And like last second, I was like, you can't mess it up. And like with everything I got, I just grabbed the mat, counted the RKO. I roll him up. You see this audible gas, you know?
Yeah, because we haven't seen it before.
And it's still to this day, like another like really cool moment. Like, again, I just thought, I was like, oh, it's a cool move to counter. Like, people bring that up all the time. We do the finish, we get back. And I was forever, we come out, everyone's like high-fiving, and Randy puts it on. He's like, man, we should just put the kid over with that. And then just walks away. I was like, like, yeah, we should have, right? No, we're going to do it again. But yeah, super cool to share the win. And I thought it was really cool of him to allow me, because it's his finish, and you know, he could have easily said, hell no, you know?
Yeah.
But he was so gracious of it. And like he told me some like really like deep stuff about, like, he felt really bad about the concussion. Like he obviously he was apologetic at the time, but like it's almost like a year or two after it, like him and I were just talking. He's like, hey man, like I never meant to tell you, but like I really messed up things for you, man. Like you were here. I go, Randy, like stuff happened, bro. I know it wasn't intentional. He goes, no, I just want to let you know, like it bugs me that I took that away from you. I was like, you didn't take anything away. Like it happened, man. Like look at all the stuff he's been through, surgery wise, and like his back. Like you've given enough to. But for him to say, I think it shows that, you know, everyone talks about how much Randy's grown over the last few years. I think that's a testament to it too. You
were so close in that Money in the Bank match.
Brother, I got stories. I feel like that's the thing. Yeah, I show up to Money in the Bank, and they're like, hey, you're winning it. I go, what? Okay, cool. So this is so funny because they, you know, because I'm one of the shorter guys in the match. So they actually had me climb up the ladder so they could adjust the briefcase so it's within grabbing distance of me. And all day we're putting this match together. Everyone's like, hey, man, congrats. I'm like, yeah, man, this is awesome. You know, and I was like, oh, maybe I can get this briefcase to light up, you know, because I was wearing the light up stuff at the time. Like, I'm thinking, it's just one of those Cloud 9 moments. Like, man, I can't believe this is happening, because it's not happening. So the match is about to start. Entrances have started. And I want to say Baron Corbin's making his entrance. I don't know why. I just have his music in my head. And I have a very funny visual for you. So I'm wearing this light up mask, right? And I'm wearing this jacket that lights up, and I have like a glove, and they all kind of like pulsate with like, you know, lights, obviously. And Jamie Noble comes up and says, hey, boss man wants to talk to you. Go talk to boss. I was like, okay.
While the entrances are happening.
The entrances are happening. And Vince has his little, like, you know, his little cheaters on, and he's looking up, and he's like, and I come over. Now, mind you, Gorilla's completely dark. So I just have these red lights that are flashing on Vince's face, and he's all shadowy. So you can see the picture that I see, right?
Yeah,
he's like looking up at me. He goes, change of plans. Do the match. Everything you called. When the time's right, I want you to climb up the ladder and grab the briefcase. Someone's going to come out. I want you to hold the briefcase and just have shock on your face. He's going to run down, tip the ladder over, and you stay down. Do you understand? And again, my lights are just flashing on his face. So I see what he's saying, but there's a moment where he goes black and then it's red, black and it's red. And I'm like, copy that, sir. And I just walk away. I'm like, it's Brock. Who else could it be?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm walking. I'm like, whatever. My music hitting. So he literally told me, like, right, none of the guys in the match know. No, Finn didn't know. Randy didn't know. Baron Corbin's in the match. Drew McIntyre, Andrade. No one knew. I'm the only guy that knows. And I'm walking down, and it's not like I'm like, hey guys, but like I'm just focused on the match at this point. Match happens, climbing up the thing, and man, it's just like, I know everyone's like, well, why didn't you just grab the briefcase? I want to be like, because my boss told me.
I think they think in kayfabe, right?
Yeah. So and here's the thing, that's my immediate response to him. I go, well, brother, my music's playing. Like, he's got a vision. There's no point in arguing this time. So what you didn't see is I climb up the ladder. I got my fingertips on the briefcase. Brock's music hits. I do the shock thing like I'm asked. And I'm like, they're going to cut to Brock. But at some point, they'll come back to me. They didn't. But what I did is I did the slip thing where I tried to get it, which you don't see on camera. The briefcase slips out of my hands. So when Brock gets in the ring, you see me trying to, it just slipped up. I'm trying to regain possession of it so that I'm not just holding it for the whole time. Like, that was my, like, oh, I'll cover it up this way. And then I would just tell Vince, like, oh, it slipped out of my hand, you know? So I climb up, I grab it, Brock's music hits. They cut to him. I do the slip. You don't see it. But when I'm looking down, Brock, like, hits a ladder out the way. And it just completely annihilates a cameraman named Rico. Just hits him in the head. He goes down. He needs like stitches. And I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, he's gonna murder me. And I hope I'm not like destroying like the mystique of Brock here. But like, what a pro. Gets in the ring, grabs it, looks up to me. He's like, hey kid, you ready? And I'm, yeah. He's like, okay, nice and easy. 1, 2, and just. And the thing is, he was so nice about the push that I was expecting this violence thing that I like hurled myself off the ladder, and I end up hitting the top rope with my mouth, cutting my mouth, completely my fault, and like hurting myself. And I go down, like he just pro's pro, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it got into, and I'm saying that, but you can see like if you watch it back, if you cut to the clip of the guys on the floor selling, they're all very unamused that this match happened that way.
I remember that week specifically because that was the week that Mick Foley introduced the 24/7 championship to a very audible, like, no reaction. Then you about to win Money in the Bank, Brock coming out of nowhere. That was the same week that AEW had its first show.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because this is May 2019. It was just like, we are so ready for a change. Like, stop treating us like we're stupid.
Yeah.
And I just remember I had an interview with Cody that week, and I listed off those two things, 24/7 championship, Brock coming out of nowhere and winning Money in the Bank. And it was like, yeah, like, now is the time to just have something different, have another option here.
Yeah. And I think that, like look what it created, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Created
competition brings out the best of everybody. And like, again, like, if I'm the only product in town, you're gonna take whatever I serve you, pal. you know
have
what I mean?
to.
But now I go, oh, they're offering the same thing and a little extra, and like, okay, you're in competition now. No matter if they want to, if both sides don't want to admit it or not, they're in competition, right? Like, and it's great for the fans. It's great for the talent because there's more negotiate. So I think it's great for the industry. So I think AEW is like a huge win. Not just for themselves, but for the industry. Because here's the thing, I always think beyond just the wrestling. Like, how many people does AEW employ? Like, you think of medical staff, security, production.
Yeah.
There's some very talented production people, like Giancarlo, that worked there, like super over talented, that didn't, have a spot necessarily in WWE, and now they get to go there.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you have to think as the industry as a whole, writers, like that, or producers, like there's an option. So it's good for the industry as a whole. And like, I think the product is the final result of it too, right? Like, product has to be better, because if I don't like what I'm seeing over here, I'm just going to go watch this.
It also gives people like you the ability to be a free agent.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case for a long time.
No, yeah. It's a one show in town. You either work here or you don't work anywhere.
That's it.
And like, yeah. And I've taken full advantage of that. I think TNA definitely is up in the conversation as well right now. They're doing like incredible business. And this partnership they have with WWE NXT is only even proving more beneficial. But then you look at their houses they have lately. You look at the Hardys, are there long term? They got Nick Nemeth. So business is booming, brother. Right? That's it.
Big thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this episode and for always supporting the channel. I don't use the internet anywhere without NordVPN. I mean, you've got a lock on your door. You should protect yourself when you're online too. Public Wi-Fi is notorious for being a spot where hackers like to hang out to try to steal your data. NordVPN protects you on there, and I love how easy it is to use, whether that's on your phone, your tablet, or your laptop. And you can change your virtual location with just one click and access content that's not available where you live. You can also use it to get pay-per-views for a fraction of the cost. So head to nordvpn.com/CVV to get yourself protected and to save yourself some money. Look at this deal they have going on right now. Less than $3 a month will get you covered, and you get 4 extra months for free. That's nordvpn.com/CVV. nordvpn.com/CVV.
Talk me through the Royal Rumble elimination from Nia Jax.
Oh, yeah. Brother, what's my line, ladies and gentlemen? Brother, I got stories. So that spot wasn't originally for me. I don't know who it was for, but someone was not very much okay with getting eliminated by a woman. And I'm at this point where I'm trying to prove that, like, hey, I'm pro's pro. I'm down for whatever. And I can kind of see it's. I think it was Jamie Noble again, because it was some sort of like frantic search. I looked at Jamie. I was like, "What's the spot?" He's like, "Man, Nia's got." And he like looked at me. He goes, "Would you be okay with it?" And I just go, "Yep." What is it? He goes, "Well, Nia's gonna beat up R-Truth, and then she's gonna take everyone's finisher. But before she does that, I just need her to throw somebody, like, you know." And I don't know who the original person is. I really don't know. But I remember going like, "Oh, that's like scripted show. It's fine." Like, and me and Nia are homies. So I remember I told Nia, like, "Hey, I'll do it." And she was so like thank you. Like, I could see the sense of relief. So I could see why some people were like, "Oh man, that made you look weak." I go, Nia's shoot strong as hell and could pick up anyone in this room right now if she was, you know? And she tossed me over. And so we did the thing like, "Hey, Nia, can I do the whole like, I'm not gonna hit you. Like, you know, like I did this thing." And then she like headbutted me, picked me up. Gets talked about to this day. Actually, I think the RKO on the 619 she took and the Royal Rumble gets talked more. But yeah, it was a moment of people were like I could see how some of the guys were like, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that." But I was looking, one, I didn't have a problem with it. And two, I was looking like, I think that goes a long way to like Vince and to like Bruce. Like, this guy didn't have a problem getting the spot over.
Yeah.
Because that's a moment. Like that's what we want to do. We want to create moments, right? That was the honest intention behind it. So yeah, it wasn't originally designed for me from what I understand.
It's one of the moments that people talk about from that Rumble.
Yeah. And it's cool. And Nia was super worried that, like, you know, because she did like a Samoan drop backwards. And I was just supposed to go to my feet, but like me being me, I did like a corkscrew something. It looked like I landed really funny. And she saw it. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Everyone thinks I hurt people and I don't." I was like, No. You're fine. You didn't hurt me. I'm totally fine. So she's a sweetheart. But yeah, the Nia moment was very, very cool. And it was just, I took it as an opportunity to like step up to, I'm down for whatever. Let's do it. Let's make Let's make this entertaining, you know?
Where does your match at Crown Jewel rank in your accomplishments?
Man, so Mansoor versus me in Crown Jewel. Obviously, it means a lot to Mansoor because he's from Saudi Arabia, right? And being able to represent your people historically, and this isn't just in pro wrestling. You know, representation is only brought up when it's profitable. If representation is profitable, then companies are usually like, "Yeah, hey, check this out," you know? This is a situation where, like, even if that was the case, I saw an opportunity where 2 Muslims could be in a featured PLE match on WWE programming. What could this possibly, you know, mean in the future? And man, till this day, I'm telling you, and again, I think it's different. If you run with different groups or you're with, you know, a certain set of culture, like, you won't hear about it. But within my thing, you know, when I go to Friday prayers at the masjid, at the mosque, or when I go to religious events, or if I'm even in downtown Chicago, go to a, you know, whatever spot, you know, cultural food that, you know, caters to my people. Like, people are like, "Oh yeah, you and Mansoor, like, dude, that was so cool." Like, they know it. They know that match. again, on a personal level, I think very, very highly of him. He's kind of like my annoying, like little kid brother. He's such a goof. Have you met him, right?
No, I haven't met him.
Don't. You'll regret.
Okay.
He's such a, he's just bouncing off the wall. We talked about caffeine before. He doesn't even drink this stuff, and he's like that. He's a wild man.
It's only 120 grams.
Yeah, this is not doing it for me. I'm not gonna lie, but shout out to them.
Doing it for you. You got to chug it then. Let's shotgun him.
But yeah, so meant a lot. Received a lot of adulation for that match backstage. We were put in a tough spot. We followed Edge and Seth, Hell in a Cell, 45 minutes. No, two of the greatest to ever do it. No worries. Go follow that. But yeah, I think very fond of it. By the way, I forgot to do my line. I got stories, brother. Crown Jewel, we get there. We get to the arena. Mansoor is nowhere to be found. There is a Olympic kickboxer that's basically after the match. I attack Mansoor. Boo. We're gonna send out this Saudi Arabian kickboxer that shoot. No, he's not a kickboxer. He's a martial artist, and he knocked out someone in the Olympics and got disqualified for it because you're not supposed to knock each other out. You're supposed to just like tap each other. So he knocks someone out. The country loves him. Like, he's beloved. So he comes out, and then we're supposed to have a stare off, and they go, and then Bruce Pritchard very happily, he's like, yeah, then he's gonna throw one of those kicks and knock you out. I go, like not really knock me out like he did like 2 weeks ago, right? And the guy was super, super cool, but like I think again, what got a lot of adulation is like there were some higher ups that were ringside, and I just took over. I'm like, hey man, you're gonna come in like this. Make sure you open up so the camera sees you. And he's wearing like a little disguise. I mean, make sure you very carefully unveil it. They're gonna react. Don't move because they're gonna shoot you. Then they're gonna shoot me. Then they're gonna shoot you again. Then back to me. I go, just basically don't move until I start. Like, I'm walking him through it. And you don't have to telegraph the kick, man. Just throw it. I'll be fine. Like, I'm walking him through all the nuances about like camera positioning, opening. I'm telling you, because he hopped in the ring like, let's go. I'm like, no. Like, you don't hop in there. They don't know who you are until you take this off. Once you take that off, they have to register it. And I go, they know I'm in trouble once you do that. So like that's gonna take like 3 minutes. And he's like, well, how? I go, just trust me, So I think all the higher ups see that, and that got like a lot of like, I don't know, like backstage buzz. Like, yo, this guy's a pro. The funny story is Mansoor isn't here. Where is Mansoor? This guy forgot to bring his passport because he's a Saudi citizen there. So cool, he could get into the country, but he can't get back in the U.S. without his passport. So instead of getting to the arena early to put this match together, to walk through all this stuff like that, he had to go to like the embassy and get like an emergency passport done. Oh, man. So basically, by the time they get him, they're like, the show isn't starting, but like we're really close to short. And he shows up, he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't worry, put the whole thing together, sit down. So we fill him in, and I've worked him enough to know what he would want to do. But yeah, it was just one of those days where like I was just so happy that like I got to do that with him, and more importantly, like no matter what happens at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm going to be remembered for, but I know I've laid a lot of the groundwork, and I kind of cleared a path a little bit for people of my background and my descent to come into this industry and not have to play those old preconceived roles. Like Mustafa Ali has made it normal to just be Mustafa Ali. Like, I don't have to be chic, and I don't have to be the evil prince. I don't have to be this or that. Yeah. I can just be Mustafa Ali. I could be a politician. I could be positive Ali. I could be the leader of Retribution. I could be a hacker. I've normalized that. And though I may have not achieved the highest level of success, I cleared a lot of groundway where like the next generation, I hope that they don't have to knock down nearly as many doors or boundaries. So maybe that's what's gonna. And I think that match at Crown Jewel was like a huge milestone in that.
Did you know that Retribution was not going to work out from the start?
I mean, I think if you have that mentality, then yeah. No, I had the mentality like, give me anything, and I'm going to make this work. It wasn't my idea. Showed up, was handed something. The reveal wasn't. The original reveal was not what I think. I think I said this on. What's it called now? Not Twitter. On X one time.
Call it Twitter.
I was like,
we know what you're talking about.
So the original idea for the reveal was a little bit more convoluted and confusing to me, like what Vince had laid out. It was a match with MVP, and then like Hurt Business gets involved. The original script called for Retribution to come jump on me as well and like drag me out of the ring and kind of like make it look like they're beating me up.
And then after they lay out MVP, throw me in the ring, and like they're standing over me like they're gonna kill me. And then for me to start laughing like a maniac, and then stand up. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. And I was like, man, this doesn't like sound like cool. Like, you know, this mastermind behind Retribution.
Especially in a time when there's no fans.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is like I was getting manhandled by like the guys that like are working for me.
Yeah.
So I remember I ran it by Samoa Joe, who was doing commentary. He's like, no, bro. He's like, you're the master. Like, you're this hack. Like, no one moves unless you say it, you know? He's like, what if you did this way? And dude, Joe laid out the whole thing. He's like, you hop out of the ring and you go right up to the two biggest, baddest dudes, and you look at them, and MVP and all. MVP sold it, bro. The Hurt Business, they're all like, man, this kid's got balls. And then Joe was like, you just turn around with that shit-eating grin. And he goes, and you let the audience go, oh, and he goes, and nobody moved. And dude, the way they shot it was like, because they cut back to MVP and all that, and they're all like, and you can just tell. And he goes, when the time's right, you just tell your boys, get him. And I literally did exactly what Joe had laid out. And I just stood there. All of this carnage happens. There's bodies everywhere. And he goes, and when everyone's down, you just step over the bodies, you know, without breaking eye contact. No one even looks at you because they're like, you know, looking down at you. Like, and then when you tell them to join you in the ring, you give them a nod. Then he goes, nobody moves unless you say it. And I was like, that was cool. So we did it, man. And like that I don't know what the view count is on now. That's like one of the highest rated views on YouTube that I've ever been a part of, right? Did I know it was going to fail? I know we had our work cut out for us. I know the names weren't pleasant. The masks weren't pleasant. And it was kind of even more frustrating because there's so many talented individuals underneath these things. I had tried to save Retribution, and Vince approved it at first, but it just never made air. I said, hey, why do these guys have masks and names? And I could never get the why. There was no why for it. I go, what is Retribution?
Yeah.
I was assured a million times it wasn't something about Antifa. I was assured a million times it was. But I'm going to go, what is Retribution? Well, it's like, you know, a group that just wants to wreak havoc. But why? So I couldn't get the why. So I go, oh, well, Dijak has, you know, his ups and downs at NXT. Mia's had her ups and downs. Shane. Yeah. I go, I don't want to do the typical disgruntled worker thing. I think we do like that. Like, we're going to make sure nobody else goes through what we went through. We're the good guys here. But how do I explain the names in the mask? So I came up with this idea. I go, I purposely gave them horrible names and horrible masks. And what did you people do? You made fun of them. You made fun of them for their names and the way they look. Just like you make fun of me because my name is Mustafa Ali and I look the way I look, don't you? And just that connection of, I go, and now that, so it's like a teaching lesson for Retribution. I go, you guys see what I go through? This is the world. They'll make fun of you for something as simple as your name. And once these guys in Retribution understand that, then they take off the mask and then they like graduated. You know what I mean? So then we reveal this is Dijak, this is Dio, this is Mia, this is Shane. We are Retribution. We like, you know. So that was I was like the aha moment, I thought, and all the writers were like, yeah, yes. And it was presented to Vince. Vince loves it. Can we get it on Raw? We don't have time. We don't have time. So each week we just kept going out with these names. I'm like, Vince, we really need to cut this promo. We'll put just, you know, we just put it out on social media. And that was it. But he never would let us take off the mask or the names. Retribution failed because there wasn't a why. There was never a why. Vince lost interest in it. Not my story to tell. There was a power struggle between people, and Retribution was affected because of that. It wasn't directly anything involved with me, so it's not my story to tell. But we suffered because of that. And I think at the end of the day, if there was a why and if there was some effort behind to make it a legitimate threat, it would have been great.
I feel for someone like Dijak because that was his only shot on the main roster.
Yeah. So even thing with Dijak, like I'm glad that he got a chance to go back down to NXT and like reinvent himself. But it's another like thing where you kind of scratch your head, like big dude can move, cut a promo, like won't, myself included, and a lot of people, not the first group of talent to like not reach their full potential, and unfortunately not the last group of talent. It's just the nature of the industry. I'm kind of like, this year I've grown a lot in the sense where like I think I was so passionate about it that I would take those failures or those stop and start pushes, I would take them very personally. And now I'm just so level-headed and professional. Like, oh, okay, like cookie crumbles that way, man. A decision was made based on some sort of analytics, whether it was merchandise, ad revenue, demands from the network. There's things that I don't know. All I know is if you give me this, I'm going to make it as good as I possibly can. And whatever insight you can give me to make it better, great. But that's my job. So I think I'm very thankful for the time away because it's been able, not that my passion has died down. I just think my level of understanding of like, you can't take it personal, right? You can't, because then when you do, that's when it gets murky. But I think I just understand like a lot of times it's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. There's so many talented people across the board that never see the light of day.
Yeah. If you can only control the way you look, you can control the work that you do in the ring. You can't control so many other things. So to bring this full circle back to your wrestling school, what do you tell the talent? Like, yeah, you can work as hard as you want, but like, what's that extra thing that you can tell them about? Maybe it's having a good attitude or, rolling with the punches.
Yeah. So there's a fine line, right? Because you don't want to become the guy that's just
the yes man.
Not even like that. Some people deal as complacent. Like, oh, this guy won't have an issue. We can just give him the grunt work or not. But at the same time, you don't want to be the diva. Like, oh, we got to run this by him. He's going to have There's a happy middle ground. And I always think it's like how you present and communicate yourself. There are plenty of times where I've shown up to shows or TV where like that. I go, cool, I got this. Can I read through it? Can I ask some questions? Why are we doing it this way? I always present it because my intention is honestly, I just want to make it as good as possible. And if I understand the whys, it makes it a lot better. It's like method acting, right? Like you understand like what are we trying to accomplish here in this scene?
Yeah, what's my motivation? That's what they always say.
Yeah. So like if you present yourself as that, a guy that asks why because you want to better understand what is expected of you, but there's other people like, oh, well, I'm not going over. Like, what do you like? You didn't even read it. Like, read it through. Find out what the next few weeks are like are unfolding to be. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is, there's a fine line between presenting yourself as difficult as well as just being down for everything. There's a fine line. You gotta be a pro. My advice would be, initially, definitely like just any opportunity is a good opportunity. Learn from it. But you always want to conduct yourself professionally. You're going to go to these indie shows and everyone's, t-shirt and shorts, like show up in a suit, buy the boys some pizza when you can. Like, you act like a pro. Like when you walk into these locker rooms, I'm telling you, man, I'm suited up. I'm ready to go. I got the freshest gear. I'll put on the best match. I have the nicest merch. Like that guy's a pro. Yeah. You don't want to be labeled as just another one of the boys. Right. It's more than rolling with the punches. You definitely have to take chances and knock on doors. Like I don't think I would have got hired if I didn't go up to Hunter. The Cruiserweight Classic happened. Everyone got a contract except for me. I was the alternate that got called in. So I think maybe there was like a list and I just wasn't on the list. So everyone got a deal and like very sheepishly, I did like 2 or 3 NXT like extra work things and like Hideo Tommy just like beat me up or something like that. And after that, I just went up to Hunter. I was like, hey, like. When you know, like, do you think I'm going to get a contract? And I think he was just kind of taking this criticism. And he goes, oh, it's there's so many dogs and so many bones. I can only give up so many bones. It's a timing thing. And I go, oh, okay, he's just politely telling me to like get away. And I, all right, thank you for your time, sir. And that week I got a call.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but if I didn't say that.
The squeaky wheel.
And it was very
gets
like.
the grease.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if you break it down, I was the only alternate in the Cruiserweight Classic. Everyone else was on. Yeah. They had an idea of who they wanted to sign for the game, but man. I don't think if I didn't ask, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now.
Well, congrats on everything.
Congrats to you, man.
Thank you.
No, for real. I was mentioning this to you. I got to say it on air though, but there's not a time where I don't open up my phone on any platform, X or Instagram or I'm not a big TikTok guy. I'm sure you're there. But YouTube, like you're just everywhere and you're killing it, man. And you're doing it right. And I applaud the positivity that you bring to the scene because I feel like it's so easy. Like this interview could have been negativity. And we made it a point to stay on the positive points. And I think that's why I was so receptive to doing it. You're the first interview I've done.
But thank you.
So, and I think it's a good it's a testament to like what you're doing, man. Like you're doing it the right way, and I applaud you. Congrats on all your success.
Well, that's a
I'm sure you got to meet The Rock after this, but I'm glad that you put me before.
You know, he's my 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's enough negativity in the world, and certainly enough negativity in wrestling.
Yeah,
I don't want to contribute to that.
I applaud you.
And I think that's also a testament to my team that every time you open up an app, one of my interview clips is there.
Everywhere. And it's not,
a bunch of clips from this one.
Yeah.
They're going to be there.
The one goes, I got a story for you. That's the name of the episode.
That should be. But I think it's just a testament to all of the people that I work with of like, they're the best.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with them.
You're running a tight ship. And I think, again, the presentation of it is next level, but you're doing it right, man. So
thanks, man. And thank you for being so understanding. We don't need to get into it, but we were supposed to do an interview a few weeks ago, and I appreciate you being so understanding about everything.
Absolutely.
Gratitude is the biggest, most important thing in my life. So that's why I end every interview asking this question. What are 3 things that you're grateful for?
Oh, this is the question that I was actually like most worried about.
Oh, you did your homework.
Yeah. I mean, your clips, like I said, they make the rounds. So I guess my selfishness is like, I kind of want to be different, you know. But like the thing is, I think people are thankful like for the same things, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we want the same things, right?
Yeah, 1, 2 seem to be very similar with a lot of people.
Yeah. Family, right?
Family health.
Family health, you know. The number one thing that I'm most thankful for is empathy. I feel like my sense of empathy stems from my time as a police officer, because I was dealing with bottom the barrel crackhead that had no reason to live. And I was also escorting the mayor in a limo to a town. I've seen both sides.
Yeah, you've probably seen some stuff.
Yeah. And empathy, because I could look at that crackhead junkie or like that, and I would talk to them. And it's like, yeah, I used to be, you know, a big time lawyer until my wife left me. And then he'd tell me that about, you know, my 3-year-old got run over by a car and died. And you hear about these horrific things that these people went through, and then all of a sudden you can kind of understand how they fell down this dark hole, and now all of a sudden they become human. And I've been able to apply that sense of empathy wherever I go. Like, man, sometimes people just need a break. They don't need you, like, you know, your comment or your opinion. Like, they're just going through some stuff, you know. So I'm very grateful that like I could look at someone and everyone's like very angry at that or has an opinion on it, and I go, let me find out who the person is behind this action. Let me find out what the intention was behind the action. Sometimes we mean to do good and we just mess up.
That's powerful.
You know what I mean? What is the intention behind the action? So I'm very thankful that I have that mindset in my, not just in my profession, in my life. Family, obviously.
Sure.
I have to put that. My wife, Uzma, is she puts her arms around me. She becomes a cape and I become Superman. I'm telling you, man, I'm not half the man. I would not be able to do half the things of it without her support. And I know that's very cliche and cheesy, but I genuinely mean that. Like the amount of times that this woman has caught me and propped me back up and like fixed my tie and get back out there. It's unreal. So I owe everything to her.
She puts her arms around you. She becomes a cape. You become Superman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, dude. And it gets people, man.
Wow.
So usually when I say that, the girls all go, "Ah!" I go, "No," but like I'm telling you, like
that's the most powerful explanation I've ever heard of that. And I love my wife more than anybody on this planet.
Man, we're lucky.
We are so lucky. I've never heard anybody put it so perfectly.
Yeah, like don't you feel like she makes you like feel like you can do
I can't do any of this without her.
And then obviously, like, you know, because of her, I have like the 3 like most perfect kids. My Amara, Rayan, Dua, 10, 7, and soon to be 3. My household is crazy. I come in, it's just like they want to tell me about their day, soccer, jiu-jitsu, basketball, wrestling. Everything's all at once, and I love the craziness. And I think the last thing that I'm grateful for is my understanding of time. I don't have nightmares, but I do have a very, very clear vision of, like, you know, the little time sand gimmick thing where the sands dropping
hourglass.
The hourglass. Man, I'm so aware of time. Like, time is fleeting. And I think because I have that perspective, I'm able to do the long nights or these crazy flights. Like we just land, go. I have a meeting. You have to, like, we're hustling. I'm not. You're not gonna win the battle with time, right? Like time ultimately wins, but like, man, we can give it one hell of a fight.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna get my time's worth, right? And I just think I've met so many people. I've lost a lot of people, including my dad, where they would sit and just they wish they had a little bit more, or they wish they chased this, or they wish that they're very happy and they know that they're blessed, especially like, and I keep kind of referencing, there's a lot going on in the world today, and there's no way that I could like open up my phone without seeing some sort of horrific image and a reminder of like, man, like life is so precious. Like we as humans are so precious, and it's this essence of time. You know, I'm looking over, my 3-year-old's playing with her stuffed animals. And the next second, like, I know my wife's got a broken neck. Like it just happened. So I'm appreciative that I have the wherewithal with time, and I feel like I feel like I did waste a lot of time in my life, and I'm not gonna do it anymore.
This is why Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, because every movie he's playing with time in some sort of way.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
Interstellar, Inception, Dunkirk, and Tenet is going backwards. Memento,
The ultimate currency.
absolutely,
Time.
because it's the only non-renewable currency.
You can't get it back.
Ever.
You can't get it back.
And what's I don't know the full quote, but it's like the only thing you spend, but you don't know what the balance is.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Some powerful stuff here,
Wow.
man. What is going on? Let's just do a quote show.
Wait, I think we had about 18 of them in this interview.
I'm saying next time we do this, I'll just bring my like
great.
little cheat sheet of quotes.
And I'll bring mine.
Yeah, and we'll just read it back. It'll be like, instead of a rap battle, it's like a quote battle. And I'll have guys in the back going, oh! I think I just gave you like $1 million idea.
Brilliant.
All right, this is our next venture. We'll do the CVV and Ali quote battle.
It's also why Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
Because it reminds you of how important time is, how important moments are. If this doesn't happen, then that can't happen.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, you know, regrets.
Time.
Not. It's all about time, man. When it's your time, it's your time. So just, you can't get it back, man. Just make the most of it. And I know these are like cliche, you heard it, but like anybody watching this, I'm telling you, if there's something that you want to do in your life, go do it now. Like, who cares about the failure? Who cares about the opinion? Who cares about, to a sense, who even cares about the money behind it? The time is the ultimate currency. So please go chase that.
What a way to end this.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
We did okay.
Thanks, brother.
I
Great to see
appreciate it,
you.
man. Chris, congratulations on all your success too, man.
Likewise, right back
Thank
at
you,
you.
man.